What?
Good morning, Water's Edge. I'm going to invite you, good morning. I'm going to invite you all to stand and sing with us.
I believe I like that. That
What?
was awesome. I
Oh,
like that
thank
music.
you.
That was cool. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Water's Edge. My name is Michelle Bonniwell. I'm part of the staff here, and we are so glad you are spending part of your Sunday with us. Hey, if you're joining us online, welcome. We are glad you are part of our community. Let us know where you're watching from today, whether it be from a baseball field or I know we have a member who's in New York City right now, so hello. We're glad you are tuning in with us. We do have some things going on here at the Water's Edge to help you connect with us. One of them is actually happening today. Right after the service, we have Starting Point. Starting Point is our class. If you're new or just want to learn more about the Water's Edge, this is for you. We're going to have lunch, and it's an opportunity for you to meet some of the staff, talk to Pastor Craig, ask any questions you may have. It's also a great opportunity to connect with other people who are new to the church. Again, that's going to be right after this service, next door in the kids' large group room. We do have lunch. There's childcare available. Kids are always welcome to join us and hang out as well. Also coming up tomorrow is our baptism class. So if you're interested in becoming baptized or baptizing your child, this class is for you. Pastor Craig will tell you a little bit about baptism, how we do it here at the Water's Edge. It's also a great opportunity to, if you're a new parent, to meet other new parents and also just meet other people in the church. Again, that is tomorrow at 6:30 p.m., and you can register online at weomaha.com. Another thing we have coming up is We Explore. If you're ready to become a member of the Water's Edge, We Explore is for you. This class will go a little more into detail about the Water's Edge and how you can get connected. That will be Monday, May 16th at 6 p.m., and you can register for that at
weomaha.com.
The band was listening. All right. They've heard it a few times. We do have some service opportunities coming up here at the Water's Edge, too. If you've been around for a while, you've heard Pastor Craig say we look most like Jesus when we serve. And so our first serving opportunity is happening on May 14th as part of We Serve Saturday. We will be serving the Nebraska Diaper Bank, which most of us know them as the Lifehouse. They have recently changed their name. We're going to be wrapping diapers and doing some other activities with them. This is a great serving opportunity for all ages. I was there a couple of weeks ago, and we had some little bitties there helping us as well. So families, it's a great opportunity for you guys to serve together. You can register for that also at
weomaha.com.
Good job. Now, this next one isn't actually on weomaha.com, but we do have a blood drive that we are hosting on May 16th from 10 to 4 p.m. This is part of the Red Cross, so you can register for that at redcrossblood.org. Now, next Sunday is Mother's Day. Jimmy, are you aware of that?
I am.
I know you're a new dad. So.
Yes.
And it's
First
a
one.
great opportunity for us to honor our mothers and those women who are special to us, the women who have stepped in and become mother figures for us. And we want to honor them here in church. So if you guys would grab some pictures, email them to me at michelle@weomaha.com. If you have my phone number, you can text them to me as well. We're going to do something very special with those at the end of the service next week. So if you can email or text those to me by Wednesday, we will get those in there. Now, kids, how many days of school do you have left? Is that me that keeps?
It is.
Oh,
It's because you're standing in front of the bass drum. You need to move
I
left.
don't know where to go. I can't. There you go.
There's a reason I'm on this side of the stage.
So, kids, can anyone tell me how much school you have left? 19 days.
Teacher.
Teacher. She was quick on that. Not that you're counting down or anything. Summer is just around the corner, which means VBS is just around the corner. We are registering kids for that. Right now, we have like 250 kids registered, which is awesome. That is probably going to double. Parents, cost for that does increase on May 15th. So if you want the early bird discount, get your kids registered. Church, we need you. And if you're saying, who, me? Yes, you. We need as many volunteers as possible. It is an all-hands-on-deck activity. So encourage you guys to serve as families, serve as house churches. You guys can sign up to do that at weomaha.com/kids. Speaking of kids, we have had some really cool events for our kids and youth the last few weeks. We had our giant Easter egg hunt where we had about 1,000 people here. We also have had confirmation, and today we are going to honor our seniors in high school. And we are able to do age-level ministry because of you guys. So thank you. If you're interested in giving, you can find out how to do that on the screen and in your bulletin. Now, if you would, please stand and join the band to sing.
Please turn your please turn your hymnals to hymn number 127.
137. Yeah,
137.
137 hymnal.
This first song is an oldie but a goodie. It's Victory in Jesus. I heard an old story of how a Savior came from glory, how he gave his life on Calvary to save a wretch like me. I heard about his groaning and his precious blood atoning. Then I repented of my sins and won the victory. Whoa, victory in Jesus, my Savior forever. He sought me and bought me with his redeeming blood. He loved me and I knew him, and all my love is to him. He plunged me to victory beneath the cleansing flood. I heard about his healing, of his plenty powers revealing, how he made the lame to walk again and caused the blind to see. And then I cried, dear Jesus, come and heal my broken spirit. And somehow Jesus came and brought to me the victory. Oh, victory in Jesus, my Savior forever. He sought me and he bought me with his redeeming blood. He loved me ere I knew him, and all my love is to him. He plunged me to victory beneath the cleansing flood. I heard about a mansion he's built for me in glory. I heard about the streets of gold beyond the crystal sea, about the angels singing and your redemption story. And some sweet day I'll sing a prayer, the song of victory. Oh, victory in Jesus, my Savior forever. He sought me and bought me with his redeeming blood. Oh, he loved me ere I knew him, and all my love is to him. He plunged me to victory beneath the cleansing flood. And I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. And I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide, 'cause you know just what who I am. It's who I am. There's a grace when the heart is under fire. Another way when the walls are closing in. And when I look at the space between where I used to be and this reckoning, I know I will never be alone. There was another in the fire, standing next to me. There was another in the waters, holding back the seas. Should I ever need reminding of how I've been set free? There is a cross that bears the burden of another died for me. There is another in the fire. All my debt left for beneath the waters. I'm no longer a slave to my sin anymore. And should I fall in the space between what remains of me and this reckoning, either way I will bow to the things of this world. And I know I will never be alone. There is another in the fire, standing next to me. There is another in the waters, holding back the seas. Should I ever need reminding of what will set me free? There is a grave that holds nobody, and the power lives in me. There is another in the fire. There is another in the fire. There is another in the fire. Whoa, there is another in the fire. Whoa, and I can see the light in the darkness. There's a darkness bound to him. I can hear the roar in the heavens as the space is sweet within. I can feel the ground changing beneath us as the prison walls cave in. Nothing stands between us. Nothing stands between us. There is no other name but the name that is Jesus. He who was and still is and will be through it all. So come with me in the space between all the things unseen and this reckoning. I know I will never be alone. And I know I will never be alone. There is another in the fire, standing next to me. There is another in the waters, holding back the seas. Should I ever need reminding of what you think to me? Count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. Count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. I count the joy from every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be.
Thanks. You may be seated.
Stories, they inform, they persuade, they entertain, but the stories do much more. They connect us to each other and to our Father.
Jesus understood this. He used stories to help connect his followers to important truths.
His stories, the parables, help us to make the connection between his teachings and our doings.
And if we take a moment to compare our lives to those in his stories, we find that there is not much different between now and then.
I said one of the pastors here at the Water's Edge. So if you're in person, it's your first time, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us. We hope that you'll come back and worship with us again. We'd love to have you be part of our church family. For those of you who are online, welcome as well. We're glad that you're worshiping with us, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook. Thank you for being part of our fellowship this morning. You'll notice when you came this morning, the new driveway is complete. I guess the wind must have blown over the barriers this weekend, so they're gone, and people have been driving on a little bit. Just maybe try to stay off it for one more week, and you'll be able to drive on it next Sunday. So for those of you who are coming from the west, or those of you who are coming from the east and are just really curious, the west driveway is completed, and we got it all ready to go. The volleyball thing is, the sand's all up there, it's graded. I think we're gonna try to put the poles and the nets up this week. So for those of you who like to play sand volleyball, you can head on up there and do that. And those of you who don't like to play sand volleyball, if no one else is playing sand volleyball and you just miss the beach, just go up there and get a little chair and hang out. And it's some of the best sand in Omaha. So in your bulletin this morning, we have an opportunity for people to serve. So churches and nonprofits during COVID really had a hard time with volunteers, and we're having a tough time, recovering the volunteers that were lost during COVID. So I would really encourage you to do this. I know at the 9 o'clock service we had 2 kids that were greeting with their parents, and I thought that was really good. This is something families can do together. If you're married or in a relationship, it's something you can do together. If you're in a house church or some kind of class, it's something you can do with your friends as well. A couple opportunities. The prairie is still in progress, and it's probably going to look really good later this spring, earlier in the summer. We always have needs. We own 26 acres of ground here, and there's always stuff to do outside. So we're hoping to form a few teams that will come occasionally on Saturdays and work on the grounds, pick up the trash, just really keep the property nice and welcoming and glorify God in the process. Every church that I know of has needs in the kids area, so we always have opportunities to do that. And one of the things we do is we always train people. We never have people serve alone the best we can, so we're trying to set people up for success. There's just a lot of ways to serve. We're always needing people back in the sound and media booth. A lot of training there, a lot of fun. So I encourage you to serve. It's a lot of really cool things can happen with that. So it was a one-man play that was on Broadway in 1988. In 1989, there was a man, Robert De Niro, that saw the one-man play, and he went back to ask the actor, who was also the writer, if he could buy the rights to that and if they could make a movie out of the script. And the man eventually, he'd had many offers before, but they weren't going to let him play the lead role that he wanted to play. So Robert De Niro was willing to do that. So in 1993, the movie came out. It won an Academy Award that year for Best Picture. Robert De Niro won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. In 2007, it was turned into a Broadway musical. It was here in Omaha a couple years ago. Many of you may have either seen it in the theaters or live in person recently, the Bronx Tale. Now, it's a wonderful story. I saw it in the movie theater in 1993. I was 6 years old at the time. And I was a little bit older, but the opening scene and the closing scene would illustrate that there's one point to the movie, and the point to the movie is one of the worst things in life is wasted talent. Now, between those two murders, the one at the beginning and the one at the end. There's like this compelling story of this kid that grows up in the Bronx. His name is C. His dad, Robert De Niro, was a hardworking, honest New York City bus driver who loves the Yankees. But then C is befriended by Sonny, who's the mob boss of the neighborhood. Sonny's both this violent, devious person, but he does really have a good heart when it comes to C. So C is trapped between like these two worlds, like the the honest, hardworking bus driver and the flamboyant, charismatic mob boss with lots of power and lots of money. So I left the theater in 1993, and I still remember the lesson that story told is one of the worst things in life is wasted talent. Now, Jesus told stories as well, and he told them for that reason. He could have just said, God loves you. But he didn't just do that. He told the story of the prodigal son, a parable, and you read that story and you start to understand the height and the depth and the length and the width of God's love for us. He could have said just treat other people with respect and left it at that, but he didn't do that. He told us the story of the Good Samaritan. He could have told us that grace is ours. All we got to do is just open up our hands and open our minds and be recipients of it, but he doesn't do that. He told the parable of the laborers in the vineyard. Now Jesus, he told 3 parables near the end of his life. So does anyone remember, like about 20 years ago on YouTube, it was probably like one of the first viral YouTube videos. There was it was called The Last Lecture. Like there was a professor, I think at like some school in Pittsburgh or something like that, and he had pancreatic cancer, and he knew he was going to die within the next year. So they let him give a lecture to the university, and you can still look it up. The Last Lecture is about a talk that was about an hour long or so, and it was just like total inspiration, and everything in there was just so cool because like he cut out all the small talk because he knew he was going to die soon, and he shared everything that he learned in his life. He shared what he hoped for the world, and Jesus is kind of at this point. It's almost like his last lecture. We're in Matthew 25, Matthew 26. He institutes the Lord's Supper. Matthew 27, he dies. Matthew 28 is the end of the story. He raises from the dead and puts the church in the hands of the disciples. Now, in Matthew 25, there's 3 parables. The first one is about 10 bridesmaids, and here he's basically saying, like, you don't know when the end is going to happen, like either collectively for all of us at the same time or individually for you. So be prepared, be ready. Have oil in your lamp. Oil is an ancient symbol for the Holy Spirit. Like, have God's power always with you. Don't run out of oil. You don't know when you're going to need it. Now, the last one was talking about, the first one was the relationship with God and always having that. The last one is how we relate to other people. And Jesus here is saying, like, the marginalized people, the hurting people, the poor people are the people who are important, and they need your help and they need your love. And Jesus says, when I was hungry, you fed them, and give the thirsty person a drink. When the person doesn't have clothes, provide clothing for them. If they're a stranger, welcome them. If they're sick, care for them. If they're in prison, go and visit them. So Jesus says, like, this is how you treat other people. Now, the middle parable is, he's saying here, no wasted talent. Like, one of the worst things in life is wasted talent. Like, you're created, like, you're talented, you're blessed. God has created you as unique. Now, today's Senior Sunday, and we're in the middle of a sermon series on parables, but we were doing our worship plan on this one a few weeks ago, and if they would have asked me, like, a Bible story to talk about on Senior Sunday, like, I have a son that's a junior in college and one that's a freshman in high school, so, like, for you seniors, one's a little bit older, one's a little bit younger. This is what I would want my boys to hear, and it just happens to be a parable. Now, your lives, for those of you who are seniors, you're going to have a lot of these celebrations. Today is probably the first one, I'm guessing. There's going to be ones with the school. There's going to be ones with your family. Your life, it is going to change. It will be different. Next August, or really, once school gets out, like, that chapter of your life is over, that door has closed. Now there's new chapters to be written, great chapters to be written. There's new doors to walk through, and you will do that. Now, as I chose this parable, this is not just for the seniors in high school, though. It's for any of us who are in transition in life and with this world we live in. That's like all of us. So we're going to look at the parable of the three servants in Matthew 25. And the first lesson is this: God creates all of us uniquely. So this week I did job interviews at Millard West High School, like the English class, the debate class. Like they have all the kids like do resumes, and you learn how to do like handshakes and fill out applications, write cover letters. So I figured I'm like the perfect person for the job. Not that I know much about hiring people. We have a fairly small staff here, but I'm free during the week. I only work on Sundays, so I was like, I'll just do something. Wednesday's wide open. I'll just go to Millard West, hang out all day. So I interviewed 10 students. I was there the first block and the third block. And so none of them were the same. Like they were all so unique. I remember this one girl, she was so reserved and shy when she was a freshman. And she was applying for a job at Scooters. So me, who don't drink coffee, and I don't think I've ever been to Scooters maybe more than like once in my life for a meeting. I was trying to hire this girl, and I was asking her some questions. And finally I asked her the question, so do you like coffee? And all of a sudden, like, she got this great big smile on her face, and like she just started talking about coffee. And like she wouldn't shut up about coffee. Like she was talking about like, so then I said, well, do you like serving people? And then like she's actually like babysits, but like all the kids she babysits, like, she serves them drinks and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, you're hired. Just like go down to the one like on Harrison or Q, just tell them I hired you. Just like, you can start today. Like, but she's unique like that. One of them was a senior in high school. He wanted to work at Shields. So he said he plays baseball, and he's going to go to Creighton next year and play baseball. Seemed like a great kid. Loved him. There's one girl that was really, really, really smart. I could just sense when I was interviewing her. I asked her what she liked to do, and she said she likes to read and write. She wanted to apply for the job at the Omaha Public Library. I thought one of them was really refreshing. He was a boy that I said, so what's your favorite class? Yeah, I don't have one. I said, well, is there a class you've taken in the past that you've let? No, it's not my thing. And so, but then when we started talking, he works, and he wanted to get a job this summer as someone who hangs drywall, and he wanted to learn how to finish that. And I love that, and that was like his uniqueness, and it worked for him. So in Matthew 25, Jesus talks about our uniqueness here. Again, it'll be like a man. So again, he had just told the parable about the kingdom of heaven and the 10 bridesmaids. So that's the kingdom of heaven, will be like a man, that's God, going on a journey, who called his servants, that's us, and entrusted his wealth, like that's everything, including our giftedness, to them, that's us. So to one, he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Now, don't get caught up in the 5 bags, 2 bags, 1 bag thing. Get caught up in the uniqueness here. Get caught up in the uniqueness. We're all unique. The world would be pretty bland and pretty boring if we weren't. Diversity is a good thing. It makes the world a beautiful place. Now, I saw this in the interview, actually, some of the kids, and like, okay, that kid's like a 5 bag of gold kid, and she's a 3 bag of gold kid, and it's the way things are. Now, the 5 bag of gold people, what they do is they inspire us. They really do. So think about have you ever heard like Norah Jones sing a song? Have you ever watched Serena Williams play tennis? Have you ever read like a book that Brene Brown has written? Have you ever heard a sermon from Craig Finnestead? There's these 5 bags of gold people out there. Now we got them in our church. We got this woman that lines up these service projects for like half the women in West Omaha now, and she just has done this amazing job of connecting people. We got this guy who's a pharmacy professor at the Med Center, and he wins Professor of the Year every year. And we got this two kids around here that are there's high school students, and they're they're two of the best golfers around. And these 5 bags of gold people are people that God has given to inspire us. Now, I think some of the 2 and 3 and 1 and 4 bags of gold people are equally aspiring. Because to me, it's really cool to see somebody do something that nobody else thought that they can do. They're the overachievers. They're not the household names, but their stories are even more compelling. Think about the person who is fighting cancer, and they're doing so with such courage and such valor, and they're an inspiration to the rest of us. Think about the single parent who's doing the best he can to raise these kids by himself, and he feels like a failure, and the rest of us just look at him and think, man, I don't know how you do it. You're an inspiration to the rest of us. Think about the person who did something that everybody told her that she couldn't do. Like, you are unique. You're a masterpiece. It don't matter how many bags of gold you have. Like, God doesn't make junk. Like, you're his handiwork. Embrace who you are. Don't complain about who you're not. That doesn't do any good to anybody, especially you. One of your great achievements in life, one of your great accomplishments in life is going to be becoming yourself. So kids, listen to this one, okay? One of your great achievements in life is going to be becoming yourself in a world that is trying to make you someone else. Like, I remember when I started down the path to enter into ministry. I worked at a newspaper, and I quit the job. I moved to seminary, I took the classes, graduated 3 years later. So when you're going through the board of ministry, like what Leandra just went through, she's going to be ordained in June. It's a long, drawn-out process, and one of the things they do early on is they give you a psych evaluation. So, you take this test, 638 questions. And it's they ask you the weirdest questions. Have you ever stolen anything before? Have you ever thought of it? It's just these weird questions that they're trying to determine all these things. They determined 3 things about me that I already knew. They said, well, Craig, you have ADHD, you have depressive tendencies, and you have a high level of introversion. And we don't really think that this is going to be very compatible with a pastor and that lifestyle. And, it makes sense. People like their pastor organized, and if you have ADHD, that's just going to be a challenge for you. They like the pastor to be happy, and if you deal with some depression, especially stuff that's based on compassion, that's going to be a challenge. They want people to be the life of the party, and I'm not the life of the party, and if I am the life of the party, it's going to be the worst party you've ever been to. But then I just thought about so the ADHD does allow me to be very creative. There's always stuff going through this mind, and some of it turns out to be decent once in a while. The introversion allows me to be a good listener. The depression, when I deal with that allows me to be compassionate. Now, I'm different than the guy down the street at Love Church. He's a great friend of mine. We're as different as night and day. And become yourself. Don't become who the world wants you to be. All right, number 2. So kids, listen to this one. Work comes before success in God's kingdom and everywhere else. So what comes before success? Yeah, work comes before success. I had a coach when I was younger that told me something. He says, the will to win is not enough. You have to have the will to prepare to win. So in this case, you couldn't just show up for the race and want to win and try to be faster and stronger and have more endurance than everybody else. That has to happen on a daily basis. It's the will to prepare to win. So if you want to have a successful relationship and you have a will to do that, that doesn't mean nearly as much as the will to do the things that are necessary to have a successful relationship. If you will to have green grass in your yard and have it look as good as your neighbor's yard, that's not going to do you any good unless you have the will to fertilize and water and mow. You got to take the steps to get to the place where you want to go. So the man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once, and he put his money to what? To work, and he gained 5 bags more. So there's a principle of life. There's work, and then there's blessing. So also, the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. So there's a group of people that bought a Norwegian dinner from me, and they came to collect on Friday night. So one of the things I made was meatballs. It's a very common Scandinavian food. So there's two ways I could do this. I could go to like Walmart and I could buy a bag of Swedish meatballs, or I could like work and really give them the good experience. So I went and bought a pork shoulder. I went and bought a chuck of beef. I got the ginger, I got the parsley, I got the onions, chopped it up, mixed it all together. I put in the spices, the cream, the eggs, handcrafted all of them. So then when it came time to eat, one of the things I served was the Swedish meatballs. I made the sauce. It was all homemade. Now, this is probably about like 10 times better than what you'd get at Walmart. But here's the deal. Like, we want to go do the easy thing. We want to go to Walmart and buy the stuff and think that it should be as good as the stuff that takes all the work, and it doesn't work out that way. It doesn't work out that way in any parts of lives. We want the instant gratification. But you don't get the taste of homemade from the store. You don't get success without the work. Everybody has talent. So what is rare is developing and using that talent to the fullest. So think about the Apostle Paul in the New Testament. He was not a 5 bag of gold guy. You would never ever look at Paul and say he's just brighter and better looking and better than everybody else. He walked with a limp. He had a vision problem. He had some affliction that he asked God to take away 3 times, and God said, I'm not going to do it because people are going to see me more in you as afflicted than they would as healthy and whole. Paul, he stuttered. He dealt with depression. But what did Paul do with what he had? Well, he went out and started churches. Paul is probably the most read author in human history. The letter to the Romans, the letter to the Corinthians, the Galatians, the Ephesians, the Philippians, Timothy. He wrote all those. And it was, what was it that got him there? It was hard work. I mean, you read these epistles, and there is never a time that Paul wasn't doing the work that was leading to the blessing. So in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, to the person with the 5 bags of gold who works and doubles it, to the person with the 2 bags of gold who works and doubles it, Jesus says, well done, my good and faithful servant. Now, success is rarely an accident or luck. Success usually, so look at the screen and look at the word usually. You could replace 99.9% of the time. So success 99% of the time takes lots of hard work. So college students, I watched your video at the first service. It looks like our seniors in high school. It looks like most of you are going to college. If you want to do good in school and get good grades, guess what it takes? It takes hard work. If you want to have healthy relationships, every once in a while you'll run into 2 people that say this is just so easy. The rest of us, it's hard work. If you want to succeed in your emotional wellness, and if you want to succeed in your spiritual life with God, guess what it takes? It takes hard work. Like a lot of us in our spiritual life, we're going to Walmart and we're looking for those bland Swedish meatballs that they make out of turkey and chicken. They just throw a few random spices into. And we expect to get the homemade result, and it's not going to happen. All right, number 3, courage and risk are higher values in God's kingdom than comfort and security. So we like comfort, we really do. So what's the name of the chair we sit in? The lazy boy. When you're kind of down or tired or whatever, you eat comfort food. We like security. We have fences around our house. We have alarms to protect us. But Jesus says that courage and risk are going to be higher values than comfort and security. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I know that you're a hard man, harvesting where you've not sown and gathering where you've not scattered seed. Okay, so pause there for a second. This is what this guy thinks about God. It's not who God actually is. So he sees God as a taskmaster. That's why he says, you're this guy that goes and, takes where you haven't, planted. And so I was afraid he says. And I went out and I hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. Now, when I first read this one, I was thinking, I wonder if he's just going to kind of like let this guy off the hook and maybe just encourage him to go out and do a little bit more. He doesn't do that. He actually, this is God, the guy that goes away, it's God. He calls him lazy. He says, you lazy servant. You could have at least like taken this to the bank where it could have got some interest. So what he does, he takes it away from him and he gives it to one who is more fruitful. Now here's the moral of the story. Like, don't hide your talents. Like, they don't do anybody, including you, any good in the ground. God gave them for you to use and to share with others. Like, think about this. Like, what good is a sundial in the shade? You would never buy a sundial and put it in the shade. That would be absolutely ridiculous. But then, like, we look at the world, and there's so much talent, so many gifts, so many experiences that aren't being utilized for God and his purposes, for Christ and the church. Now, do you know why we do this? Like, we invite people to serve. The reason that we do this, and you're going to think it's reason number 4, the fourth most important reason that we would ask people to serve around here is because we have work that needs to be done. Like, that's the fourth most important reason to me. Reason number 1 is Jesus came to the world to serve. We're created in God's image, so then we're restored to that image when we serve. So when we serve, we look like Jesus. The second reason is the reason I'm talking about this morning, and that is that we get to share our talents with other people. God has given you gifts that the world needs, and it's our job as a church to figure out and help you figure out what those are, and then set you free in ministry to be a blessing to other people. The third reason is because we want people to form deep and meaningful friendships and relationships of support and encouragement. And the fourth most important reason we would ask people to get stuff done, ask people to volunteer is so stuff gets done. So when I'm like asking you to serve, I'm not asking you to get stuff done. I'm asking you to be part of the kingdom. Now, using your talents, I get it. It's risky stuff. Using your talents is risky stuff. So David had a lacrosse game yesterday. They were playing a team from Lincoln, and so about halfway through the third quarter, one of the kids, there's inherent risk to lacrosse like there is in any sport. One of the kids, there was called a cross check, and it hit the other kid in the throat, which obviously is a very dangerous thing. And unfortunately, it was David that got hit. So I was over. We didn't announce yesterday because it was raining, and we didn't want the portable speaker to get ruined or anything. But I was over there running the scoreboard, and all of a sudden, like, David, this is the first time this has ever happened to me. He was just laying on probably like what would be the 20-yard line of a football game, and he was totally motionless. The coach and the trainer ran out there right away. The referees were over checking on him, and I just remember like it was like this total helpless feeling. That like, is he gonna be okay? And like, it took forever. It probably was 2 or 3 minutes. It seemed like 10 to me. He hopped up and walked off, and if you're wondering how he's doing, he got back in the fourth quarter. But I was just thinking about that. Like, there's a risk to that. To the teammates, the laughter, the learning, the communication, the scoring. There's a risk, and the risk is that someone can hit you in the throat with a lacrosse stick. There's a risk to anyone who's ever strapped on a helmet in any sport. There's a risk for the woman that is wanting to ask the man out on the date. There's a risk anytime you've made an investment. There's a risk walking into a small group where you don't know anybody. There's a risk to all of those of you who have pursued a dream and an opportunity. Now, the reason we do these things is because we believe that the reward is greater than the risk. So, students, I want you to hear this. Be courageous and take some risk. Like, do that. So here's the deal. Like, if you're unsuccessful, you win because you get to learn. And then if you're successful, you win because you get to lead. The fear of failure, I believe, is going to be one of the greatest limiting factors in your life in front of you. The last thing we got is God gives abundance, blessing, and responsibility to those who are faithful. So in verse 28, by the way, keep that up there just for a second. He doesn't give this to those who are talented. He gives this to those who are faithful. So the guy that had the 2 bags of gold, he worked and he took some risk. He only had 2 bags of gold, but God blessed him and he doubled that. It's not to the talented, it's to the faithful. A few years ago, I think it was 4 years ago, I had befriended this guy who was in his late 60s at the time. He hired me to help him write a speech, and we worked together a long time on that and became friends. And after the speech was delivered, we would play golf or have lunch every once in a while. And he was kind of unofficially mentoring me. He's just this really bright guy that is great with people, and I just loved hanging out with him. And never met his family, never met his wife. His wife called me one day. I knew her name, and that was about it. And she called me, and I was all of a sudden, I was freaking out because I figured something had happened to him. But it wasn't that. She said, well, he's going to retire, as you know, and we're putting the thing together, and we'd like you to roast him on his retirement. And I'm like, oh, gosh, this is like winning the lottery for a pastor here. We can actually be mean to somebody in front of other people and have it be socially acceptable. So it was really cool. All these people were there from his business and his family, and they had one of the granddaughters sing a song. They gave him a plaque or watch or whatever it was. And then it came time for me to talk, and I had worked on the speech, and they said, hey, they told me I had to come up here and say a few good words, but then they told me I had to talk about John. And how do you know if he's lying? His lips are moving, and he's a really good golfer. He has this really short memory. He doesn't keep track of the shots that he doesn't hit very well. So I had 10 minutes. It's moderately funny humor. But then the easy part for me was just to say the good things about him. Just everything that he meant to everybody. And he is probably about a 3 or 4 talent guy. And he did the work. He took the risk. He embraced his uniqueness. Then the people that talked after me, you just got the sense that they were all saying, for lack of a better phrase, well done, my good and faithful servant. I love what Irma Bombeck writes. She says, when I stand before God at the end of my life, I would hope that I would not have a single bit of talent left, and I could say I used everything you gave me. So I'm looking out here right now, and I do see a lot of students that are going to graduate in the next few weeks, and I know most of you fairly well. Some of you I kind of know a little bit, and some of you I know really well, and I see so much talent. Don't let fear be this limiting factor for you. Take some risk, have some courage, work hard, discover who you are, embrace that, and live that person out. And I know that God's going to say to you, well done, my good and faithful servant. As I look out at the church right now, those of you online as well, I can't see you, but I know something about you, and that's it. You're a masterpiece. You're God's handiwork. You're a talented bunch of people, and God has given you this talent, these skills, because the world needs them. You don't leave the sundial in the shade. Put it out in the sun where it can do the work that it can do. So, God, right now I pray for all of us. God, you have given us such great talent, and Lord, whether you're a high school senior, whether you will someday be a high school senior, whether you used to be a high school senior long ago, God, there's still work that is in front of us. God, help us to be part of your kingdom. Help us not to bury these gifts, this talent in the ground with fear and comfort. Help us, God, to take some risk and to work hard and to become ourselves so that you can be glorified. So God, we pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Hey, we're going to watch a really cool video. I got to watch this at the first service, and here's a video of our high school seniors.
And my experience here has been amazing. I'm just super grateful for the family and the support, that everyone provides at this church. So I love it here. It's been a really good experience.
Something I learned is you never stop growing in your faith, and there's always another step that you can take. So it's been fun seeing different ways that I can challenge myself in growing my faith with others.
It's been a really strong, supportive community.
I have people always praying for me and checking up on me. And I just feel like whenever I need anything, I can come to anyone in the church and they'd help me.
It has shown me how much God influences your life, like all throughout your stages of life. Because I can see it a lot where God is influencing my life now, but sometimes I forget how He influenced my life even when I was like a little kid and there weren't like big decisions to make. And so every once in a while, like I'll have a kid come up and tell me a story about how, God did this for them in their life, and it's just the little things you don't catch on to anymore. It just reminds you that God is always there.
Just thank you for supporting me as I grew up in the church and supporting me as I continue my journey through faith and other aspirations.
Thank you so much for all the support you've given me. You've helped me so much with growing in my faith. I'm really grateful for all the opportunities I've received.
Go to the next slide. It decided to loop on us. We could watch the whole thing again. No? Is that good enough? All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, come on, make room for each other. You don't have to hide behind. You can come in front of Paige. There you go. That, Connor, in front of the piano. We still work on directions. They're going to have to figure this out because graduation's in a couple weeks. They're going to line you up and do all that stuff too. So this is good practice. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the class of 2022. So about 4 years ago, we lined you all up for confirmation. Now we're not doing as good of a job of lining you up for graduation. That's okay. So right after the first service, a member of our church came up to me and, Ellie, I'm going to put you on the spot, said, I didn't know Ellie was a senior. She goes, I still remember her in kindergarten. And that's probably true. The problem was when I got hired, she was a freshman or an 8th grader. And so I still remember her as an 8th grader. And so I think, we saw these pictures and we see a lot of, we look back on this and we look at these students and we're like, I remember them then. And now we see them now. And as Craig talked about today, there is so much talent that is standing up on this stage. And it's not just in the sports that you've participated in or the plays that you've done, but it's what God still has to do in your lives. And we are so excited to see how you continue to grow. We've loved watching you grow up, and now we're excited to see what God has to do with you in the future. So I'm going to ask Pastor Craig to come forward and pray a blessing over our seniors. And then we do want to let you know that there is cake outside, so you can stop, you can come up, and you can tell them congratulations, shake their hand, find out a little bit more about what they're doing. You can slide a 20 in their pocket. I'm sure they'd appreciate that. But we want to have Pastor Craig pray a blessing over them as they get ready.
So before we do this, if you have filled out your volunteer sheet, just put those in one of the offering boxes. That could be one of the ways you offer yourselves to God. And then starting point does start immediately after the service ends. So those of you who are new, fairly new, you can have lunch. We'll get you out of here quickly. Just go left and go to the kids' large group area. So that will start immediately following the service. So yeah, it's really cool to see you all up here. This is the first of many times you'll be the center of attention over the next few weeks. Some of you are going to love that, and some of you not so much. But I hope as you're the center of attention, I hope you realize that a lot of people really love you deeply. And as much as people love you, God loves about you and cares about you even more. So I know some of you really well, and I can just see the talent that you have. Some of you I don't know as well, but as I got to know you as well, you are a very talented group of young men and women, and that's what you are now. You're no longer boys and girls. You're young men and women. The world is right before you. So God, we're going to have extend a hand of blessing. Those of you online, you can do this as well. So Lord, we thank you for these young men and women who are up here in front of us. They've worked hard to get to this day, and for some they're done already, and we're celebrating that. For some there might be a week or two of school still to go. God, I pray for them during this time of transition. They're saying goodbye for now, at least, to some of the friends that they'd be hanging out with on a daily basis. Lord, they're saying goodbye to the ritual that was school for the last 13 years. Lord, this fall, some of them will be saying goodbye, at least for now, to their parents, and life does change, and I pray for your guidance and your direction and your comfort during these days. But God, there's so much excitement, so much possibility that's in front of them, and Lord, I pray for them in these days and years and decades to come. And God, it's my simple prayer that you'll bless them with healthy relationships, bless them with prosperity, bless them with physical wellness, with emotional health. God, bless them in their journey with you, and let them just continue to flourish and grow in this relationship that they will need. And God, as we've prayed now for you to bless them, use them as a blessing, send them out to all the places that they go, and through their prayers, through their words, through their actions, let them point people to you. So God, I thank you for each of the young people who are up here. I thank you for the parents and the many others who have invested in them to get them to this point. And Lord, this is a day of celebration. We celebrate these young ones, and God, we celebrate them in your name. So we come together, God, and we say amen. All right, congratulations, y'all.
See, but seniors, before you walk off the stage, we do have a gift for you. We've got a book, a Bible, and a devotional for you to take as you head out the doors today. To everybody else, thank you for being here. We will see you all next Sunday here at the Water's Edge.